Hi, welcome to Summer Art Fun. This is a project that my daughter, the art Sherpa Cinnamon Cooney, put together. She invited so many, really any artists on YouTube that wanted to play, I think we have over 200, to release on July 17th, between July 17th and the 20th, paintings to do with summer, and you'd know which ones they were by the hashtag. So what you saw on my title, besides summer flowers, I haven't really decided what I'm calling this painting yet, but I'll let you know. But for sure I'm going to have in the title Love Summer Art, because for me flowers really say summer to me. Alright, maybe some of you who live in cold climates think so too. So what you do with this is that just know that, like Cinnamon Cooney, who's my daughter, who's the art Sherpa that has the Heart Party channel, and Clive Art, and there's about, again, over 200 artists that have complied and have decided to play with us. All have that in their title this week. And if you will look for that in your search engine, you're going to find hundreds of videos that have to do with painting and crafting and crocheting and something to do with summer. And I want you to think about a playlist, put together a playlist. Know that this is like having an art festival, except you didn't have to go anywhere, and it's free and it's all for you, and I hope you're enjoying it. Now, this particular painting of summer flowers, I'm going to show you how to do this step by step. And I finished it. I always do my introductions last because I don't have the picture done yet. I'm going to go ahead and just sign my name here. I only sign my last name, Ginger Cook. And the reason being is because I don't like to have people know whether it's a man or a woman painting it in the beginning. Want them to, there is still a little prejudice, I feel personally, against female artists. But Cook could be anybody, could be male, and that's my last name, Ginger Cook. So, and then I always put a little red slash through the name like that. So there, I've signed my name, Cook, and I sort of buried it in the flowers. Now I've painted this on, and I'm going to just tell you what the size of this little canvas is. It's a small. And I do that so that you can get the most out of the videos. It's 8 by 8. It's a little square. I want you to know that I painted it all the way around the edges. Do you see that? So that when you hang this on the wall, look at my edges here, when you hang this on the wall, you've made your own picture frame like that. And I didn't do the top part yet, but I will, okay? So that's what this looks like. And I'm still thinking for a title for this as we talk to you, but it'll be in the credits. I'm sure there's a big title right up in here as I'm talking. But maybe it's just going to be pansies, or a plethora of pansies, or I don't know. I'm still thinking of titles. Or summer pansies. I like that too, because there's more pansies than tulips or other flowers in here. So follow along with me. We're going to do step by step. I'm going to tell you the colors that we're going to use in a second. And get out your canvases, and let's paint some pansies. We're going to get started now with this video on Love Summer Art. Ginger loves flowers, so I thought flowers to me are summer, when everything's blooming. I guess it could be spring too, but not for me. Flowers are summer, so let's paint some flowers. And what I want to do right now is get my canvas situated here. I'm using a little square gallery wrap canvas like that. You can see that. And if you want to know how big it is 8 by 8, but you could use any square. And the colors we've got out are white, Australian sienna, but you could use azo gold if you had that from golden, a red, a cad red medium, yellow oxide, cadmium yellow medium. Yellow oxide is also yellow ochre, for those of you who don't know that. The manufacturers change it. Ultramarine Blue, Phalo Blue, Dioxazine Purple, and I'm going to add a new color. It is called Southern Ocean Blue. Now, if you do not have this, I want you might consider a little phthalo green and a phthalo blue mixture together. That would be what you would put in there. Now, what we want to do is I'm going to take some water mister stuff here, and I'm going to mist my background. I'm going to do something a little differently than I have done in the past. We're going to try a little experiment. I'm going to take some slow-dry blending gel, and I'm just going to scoop some out. It's by Liquitex. I've kind of wet this, and I'm going to just spread this on my canvas, not real thick, when I want to spread it on the canvas. All right, because I want sort of an interesting blending of colors, and what this will do is acrylics dry so quickly, and trust me, I'm under hot lights, so this is drying very quickly. So I'm making sure that I have this really covered now. I'm not going to worry about the sides. Okay, kind of just wipe off any extra. This is a Liquitex slow dry blending gel. I really like this stuff a lot. Now let's just see what happens when we take a little bit of the Southern Ocean blue here like this, and come in here just using the side of my brush like that. You see, isn't that pretty? And I'm going to take a little bit of, I don't know, maybe some white. Just a little white on my brush now. I want this background to be sort of all blendy out of focus. So here's some white coming through here like this. Just going to, you guys can see what I'm doing here. Maybe I'll take a little more Southern Ocean blue up here. I'll show you what happens when we do some stuff like this. And again, I'm just using the blending medium because I want this to be all irregular and just sort of like it's all out of focus. And could I have done with this out it? Probably. I've just, you know, what's the point of having toys if you don't use them? I'd say let's just, if you're going to buy some stuff, let's see what it does. So let's take a little bit more blending medium here, just kind of taking it on with the brush. Now probably on the sides of the canvas, I'll just paint them blue, all right, because this is a 2-inch gallery wrap. Gallery wrap is where the staples are on the back, but now everybody's doing that. And the idea is that you paint the sides, and then you don't have to frame it, or, you know, whatever. You can put it in a floaty frame, and it still looks very nice. There's a school of thought of some artists who believe that the sides should stay white, very pristine. If that was the case, then you'd tape them so that you weren't worried about getting paint over them. And that would be one thing to do. So I guess I can just sort of flip this around. Let's see, move some stuff. Move my nice nifty little business card. I'm just going to move the whole thing around like this and just paint the other side. I'm just painting the bottom here. You see that? Maybe if I tilt it up, you can kind of see how I'm doing it. Don't paint your sides till you painted the top. Sometimes I'll see people do a sky and then they'll go paint the sides, but you need whatever colors you're using that you plan on the actual surface of the painting. Make sure you have those. Kind of flip this around here. You can see where I'm kind of doing the sides now. That's good enough. Anything else I'll do. You get the idea. That's how you paint sides. And then, all right, now at this point, you see I've got this all sort of, and I might even take a palette knife. That might be fun. Let's do that. Let's see, what could I do with the palette knife? I don't think I have one around sitting down here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. I'm just going to take the flat palette knife maybe and do this. Let's see if that makes any difference. It's not enough to make me care. Yeah, it's not even worth washing it. So I didn't like that real well. What else could I do? Well, this is pretty good. I would say that we're in good shape here. I'm going to take a little bit of Phalo Blue now. And I'm just going to tap this on here like this. While it's still wet, you see this? I am tapping on Phalo Blue. Tap, 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 tap. This is sort of, these are going to be abstract flowers. I'm going to tap these on like this. Alright. Ooh, fun. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, now, how are we going to do this? This is good. You see? Look, I got a little glob of paint here. Now I'm smacking it on here, holding it real flat. Just tapping it on. Down here and going, doesn't look like flowers yet, Ginger. Okay, that's fine. You got to use your imagination. One of the things that people have trouble, one of the biggest problems people have when they're learning to paint is that they don't know what the painting has to look like before it looks like something else. And so if it doesn't look like what, you know, if it starts to look kind of weird and there's a weird part of every painting, then they think that there's somehow they have messed up and they don't understand they just didn't go far enough. Okay, so now let's just put that brush down and take a little palette knife here, and what we're going to do is we're going to scrape out, let me just see that, I'm going to scrape out some some stems here. Try not to make a fence, you know. I'm going to just scrape out some stems. Maybe some of these will be wider. Just use the tip of a palette knife. Okay, I'm going to say these are my flowers. And just particularly up in here, I'm going to, maybe some of the stems cross over. If I got too many, trust me, I can paint them out. Look, if you don't like what you did, just erase them. This is the time to do it. If you want any stems like this, this is how we're going to do it. So we've done some stems. That's pretty reasonable. Don't think we need a lot more. But okay, so there's some stems. That's it. Now, I'm going to just take a minute and dry all this, and then we'll continue on. All right, that's easy. We're going to dry this and then continue on. So I'm going to, okay, so this took, it's a little tacky, but not bad, okay, because I used that slow dry, so that sort of slowed the process down. All right, now we're going to do something with we're going to do a little glazing. We're going to make a green color. Let's take another plate. Let's just be the last of the big spenders and get another plate. You know, normally I don't use plates. I just do it because I'm on a little table here and it's convenient and keeps kind of the paint contained. But I'm going to just I'm going to spray some water here. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow color like this, a little bit of cad yellow medium, and a little tiny bit of oh, let's see, what should we use? Phalo Blue? Yeah, all right. Let's just make a kind of a bright green color here. That's pretty good. Wouldn't you say that's a pretty bright green? Now I want to come over here like this, and I'm just going to in this corner in here, I'm just going to do this sort of pale glaze. A glaze is almost like like a transparent cellophane color. I'm going to glaze it with some green color just in here in this corner down here, not too much. And it's going to go right over that everything we did. And because that blue's pretty, it's almost like layering one piece of stained glass over another. It's a nice trick. You have to be kind of careful. If you do too much water, it won't adhere. You can use a glazing medium, but my gosh, you know, then you're talking about things not drying for a while. And I want it to dry. So there's my green. You can kind of see how that is, and it would be very hard to get that color see where the light's sort of passing through that? And it's passing through that because there was this light blue underneath. That's sort of a little trick here, okay? So we're going to do that. Now we're going to make a dark green color, which is going to take some yellow. And I want to talk about that. We'll talk about dark greens. Everybody knows that yellow and blue is green, and we're going to go back to the color wheel again. Most color wheels have what you call a grayscale. Now when you're mixing color, if the color's going to be real dark, like this dark blue, obviously if it was a black and white picture, this dark blue would be more in these tones of gray than it would be on this light side of the grayscale. So if I want a dark green, obviously it's going to be in that area, I would start what? If yellow and blue make green, start with the darkest color first. If I wanted a real light green, I'd probably start with yellow or white. Does that make sense? So we want a very nice dark green, so I'm going to take Ultramarine, I think Phalo Blue here, and a tiny bit, like 1% of yellow, and see how much it changes. Just enough yellow to change it, okay? Just enough yellow to change it. Now, I'm going to come in here like this, and again, this is a little bit darker than what we've got, and I'm just sort of I'm making imaginary leaves here, just with the brush, just like this. I'm not trying to lose all this pretty green color that we just did, but I want some imaginary leaves. And there we go, just kind of, some are going this direction, some are going to the right or the left. They're kind of curved, okay? Like that. That's some imaginary leaves color. Remember, painting is all about layers. Now what about up here? Do I want any of these imaginary leaves up here? Maybe a couple. We'll just put a few dots of these darker colors up here a little bit, though I could come back and get them. Alright, maybe up in this corner I'll just put a few. Then how about over here? This is pretty dark anyway, but let's just put a few of these. Now I'm not making leaves anymore, I'm just sort of making little blotches. Okay, so that's my dark green. That's as much. I want this kind of light up here. So if I want some light color up there, how would I make that? Well, I might just take some white and add it to this, okay? Now I've got this pretty light blue color. And I'm going to come up here like this, and I'm going to add, let's take some little more white to it. I want to add some little light leaves coming up here. It's a little bit lighter than what we've got. I'm going to just say up here, a little bit lighter. And I might change brushes. I tell you what, at this point, I want this to be small. So I think I'm going to change brushes like this. This is a small canvas. I might have used that brush on a bigger one. And I'm going to go ahead. They're almost like little parentheses going in different directions. And so here we go, just kind of like that. Maybe I'll go over some of these that we, there we go, just like that. How about down in here? You know, right down into some of this dark green. I'm going to add some light leaves. See how we're sort of building up the picture now? All right, and over here, like that. Something over here, up here like that. Now, all right, that's pretty good. Now let's see. Let's do let's add a little more yellow to that. Also, I haven't changed anything. Added a little more yellow to that. Let's add a few little green ones near it, like this. This is all the background colors. Isn't this fun? Come on, because this doesn't, you know, just put your brush down and pick it up. Put it down and pick it up. Think about the direction it's going. If this is going this way, maybe you've got a leaf going this way. Sometimes I'm doing this so fast I don't even think about it, but I want you to think about it. 1, 2, 3, stop and look. Okay? So all right, so you see we've got some light green leaves up there. Maybe a couple over in this corner. 1, 2, 3, take a look at it. Maybe that's okay. 1, 2, 3, take a look at it. Don't have anything down in here. We've already got these greens here, and anything else we need we'll put in later. So now what's required now is for all this to dry again, but it shouldn't be long because this is very thin. We didn't put any mediums with this, and this is pretty thin. So this little brush goes in water. We pause the video, and I want to have a disclaimer now. If my phone rings during the video, and it might, I'm waiting for the car people to call me to tell me my air conditioning's fixed on the car, and I didn't want to turn the phone off. So if you hear the phone ring, I'm going to pause and answer it, all right? We're all good with that? All right, I'm going to pause right now and dry this. Okay, so we're back. We've dried it. It's pretty good. It's a little tacky now because you know why? I didn't put cold air on it. I want to show you this trick. Your hair dryer has a cold button on it. If it doesn't, go buy another one. I bought this for $15 at Costco, so it's not like they're wildly expensive. But anyway, make sure that after you dry it with the heat, put it on cold, and I'll show you what that does. It actually sets the paint. Push that cold button, and then come up here and cool air. Just dry it. Again, I want you to see that. So if it still feels a little tacky, hit it with some cold air. That will pretty much take care of it. Okay, now what I want to do is we're going to start layering flowers, and I want to just start from the back and come forward. Now, even though this is sort of a close-up, almost abstract of some pansies, some rules don't change, all right? What we want to have is some little yellow flowers coming up here, and they're smaller as they go in the background. So I'm going to take, this is why we do logs of white. It takes a little white here with this brush, and a little yellow. Add yellow medium, there you go. Now, is this too bright? Let's put a little yellow oxide in it, just a touch. That's a little bright for me. I don't want it that bright further back. So put a little yellow oxide in it, so it's about half and half, and then with some white. And I want to come back in here, and I'm going to make like little W's, or maybe little X's. Some little shape like, kind of odd little shapes like this. And I'm going to say that these are those flowers growing back in here. Kind of odd little shapes. Alright, this is, we're not talking about these very much. Maybe they're coming off the canvas like this. Remember, sometimes flowers touch. Maybe it's just one petal at some point that in part of the flower's hiding under a leaf. So think about that when you're painting it. Let's just come over here to the right, maybe just a couple together. But I want you to see that we're not getting anything too clever here. You say, well, what shape is she making? Well, you know, I'm just sort of making up shapes. Maybe it's an M on its side, maybe it's a W. Everybody learned to paint when they learned to, or at least learned to draw when you learned handwriting. So we're going to say that up here like this, we've got these. And then over here on the right, I'm going to tap in some different ones. I'm going to tap in some flowers, tap, tap, tap. These are a little different. They're a different flower than that one. So I'm going to just sort of tap in these little background flowers, and I'm, you know, just a little bit different shape. Okay, you see that? I'm going to come up here with a little different shape. So here's some flowers over here. Now they're getting tiny as they go to the left. Here's our different shaped flowers, like that. All right, because we're going to be putting other colors there. All right, so we've got two little layers of flowers. Now I'm going to take a little Australian sienna, and what I want to do is just right while that's still wet, I'm going to come next to the sides of these and cover some of these up. Just some of the yellow I'm going to push back with some of this Australian sienna and maybe make some new ones with this color. It's going to come out to the side here. So there's my Australian sienna into here. If you had yellow azo gold, that would be a good one. Otherwise, I would say try raw sienna. If you don't have that, maybe put a little yellow with it. So maybe a little raw sienna and yellow might work too. All right, so we've got those flowers over there. See how we sort of push those back? And then as long as I'm into that color, I'm going to come up in here and say that over here there might be some of these flowers. Just a couple here, all by themselves, that are sort of leading into this. All right, so that's where these are. Now down here, I'm going to do the same thing. A little bit of same kind of colors. I'm going to come down in here like this. And these are going to be more oval shaped. I'm changing the shape of the flowers. These are actually going to be red flowers, and you're going to barely see these. Again, we've changed flowers. Now, if I want to make these red, all I have to do is take a little bit of just, you know, your regular crimson color, and add a tiny bit of, maybe a tiny bit of Dioxazine Purple to it. All right, and I'll come on top of these while this is still wet. And just so all you're going to see, now see, we can do this while it's still wet. All you're going to see is maybe the bottom leaf of this gold color. This is where you kind of layer something on top. See, we got some red flowers in there. That's pretty good. And now what am I going to do? Oh yeah, so up in here I need some flowers. So I like that dark color, but I'm going to add some white to this. This is going to sound kind of crazy, but we're going to add some white to that now. All right. That was Dioxazine Purple and red and just a little white. And I want to come up right up in here, and I'm going to tap some red flowers while this is still wet, while I haven't dried the yellow. Few little red flowers. I'm almost going straight up and down now as I poke this, and let me put a little bit more red in it. And let's get a little bit of white on the brush too. There you go, so that I've got a little bit of white on the brush and red at the same time, so it's depositing it. I want you to see that there's a little blob of white on the brush, a little bit of red, a little bit of purple, and I haven't mixed it at all. And let's just, there we go, let's just pull these flowers up here now. So all this is being deposited at the same time. Do you see that? And because all three colors are, instead of on the palette, they're on the brush. I'm going to come in here like this, a little bit of white, a little bit of red, a little bit of Dioxazine Purple. Say that there is a little bit maybe more white here, a little more red. I just don't want purple flowers. I'm going to come in here like this and say, here's some dark flowers. All right, and you can kind of see that, true? And I think now I need a little bit more white on top of some of these because they're a little dark. Remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So if you make your flowers too dark against a dark blue background, there was no point in painting them because no one can see them. So you've got to make sure you got them light enough that actually someone could possibly see these flowers. Okay, so I've got some kind of lighter flowers that are in here. This is quite a little pocket of posies. How's that? Pocket full of posies. That's probably a good title for this, Pocket Full of Posies. All right, so if I said that happened there, now I'm going to rinse my brush, okay, because I haven't really committed to anything yet. Just going to rinse my brush, wipe it off on a towel, and I'm going to say I've got my first layer of pansies in here. So we're still in these colors. Remember that light yellow color I made? So I'm going to come in here and make a pansy shape, which is similar to a four-leaf clover shape, except that the let me just mist my paint a little bit here. Similar to that. You know, we're just, except it's, you know, not as dramatic. I'm sorry, we're going to come up here and say, here's a pansy shape here. I'm going to come up here and just, they're touching. And I'm going to say, here's a pansy right here, and I'm going to make them kind of bigger. Almost like a 4-leaf clover, but maybe not. You can kind of see the shape I'm going for here. Ooh, how did I get that color? Well, that's pretty. I'll leave it. What Bob Ross would call a happy accident. I like that little bit of red in there, so I'll leave it. Okay, so there's my little pansy shapes. Let me take a little bit of yellow oxide and see if I can't make something sort of interesting there. Just touch some of this with a little yellow oxide while it's still wet, so it's not just all one color. Okay. Now, all right, that's pretty. Okay, so now I want, let's see, let's make an orange color. So let's take some Cad Red Medium and a little bit of yellow and make a bright orange, like that. And where do I want that color? I want a little of that bright orange over here. I want these to be a little brighter, so I'm going to just tap on a little tiny bit of orange up. These have set enough, or if I do that, it's not going to upset the apple cart too much. So kind of brighten those up a little bit. And this is a good color for up in here too, but let's just see. Do we want to put any of that? No, I just think I want that orange right there. Maybe up here on these flowers we'll put a few little bits of, just a dot or two of orange. You can get carried away. 1, 2, 3, stop. Okay? So we keep adding a little color. Now if I want these to look like pansies, one thing I can do is I can take a minute and dry these flowers real quick. Just give me a second. Let's pause it and dry everything, okay? You ready? All right, I just dried those little flowers. Now I want to take some white, like this, with a little bit of yellow in it, but very little. All right, I want a couple lighter edges to some of these flowers. All right, see, I'm just going to just deliberately put a few little light spots on these. Maybe in just a couple of petals. Just tap it on like that. Can you see how I'm doing that? And don't need all of them. Maybe 1, 2, 3 and stop. Okay, now take your little tiny brush and some Dioxazine Purple. I want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like dice on a, you know. Okay, let's do this one. 1, just push down, straight up and down with your brush, push down, 2, 3, 4. They don't have to be any kind of particular place. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, suddenly we've got some pansies, and I think I probably need some on these too. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not perfect, but all right. So there's, all right, those are my little pansies right there. You kind of see how they kind of flew in there, didn't you? All right, now what happens to this brush? We rinse it. Moving on down. Moving on down. Time for some red flowers. Almost some tulip. There's going to be some, these are almost like hollyhocks, okay? This is what we're painting next, some hollyhocks. So let's make I always start with the darkest red. So let's take some red here. Maybe a tiny bit of Dioxazine Purple, like not very much, okay? You could use Ultramarine Blue too. And let's just start by saying that there is some red hollyhocks here. They're almost pine cone shape and done with little dots of paint. Here's one that's going straight up and down. And let's put another one right here. Got to stagger these. Look where I put them. That's a method to my madness here. And I want to make sure I've got enough purple in there, because if you don't use purple, use Ultramarine Blue. But you start off with the darkest red. That's how you darken red, by the way. Alright, so we're going to say that there's one. And maybe I've got one up here, maybe a smaller one up here like this. It can overlap something else you painted. That's alright. Don't be afraid to have it overlap that. Say that there's something in there. Come down like this. And maybe over here too. I'm just going to say that some of these flowers can be, let's just kind of say right over these flowers here, I've got another one coming right there. Don't be afraid to just paint on top of something else you painted, okay? That's these flowers. Now I need some white with this. Same kind of deal. So on the left hand side of each one of these little petals, I'm adding some light pink, like this, just so the dark's underneath. Let's do this one again, light pink, which is white and red, this business that we just did, white and red. Kind of roll the paint on the tip of your brush. You can even add little globs. It's kind of nice. Actually, could get this thicker. We could have done this with gels too, by the way. Alright, so now each time I do it, I add more, get more paint, like this, so that the dark red really was the basis at the bottom of the flower. Alright, and maybe I'll just come in with some cad red now, right on top of this. Just not cad red, but naphtol red. No white. Just touch some dark. I got a little bit light, so pure red up here like this. No other color in it. Well, now let's take a little cad red and show you what happens when you do that. Because if you do a few drops of cad, that really makes those flowers pop. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Okay. So all right. So see, those kind of got out. The only one that you're really not seeing is this one because we didn't put any white in it yet. All right. So this one, I'm just going to tap right on top of these wet flowers, some white petals on it, okay? So I'm not trying to say they're anything. This is just sort of almost an abstract. You'll be able to see the flowers, but it's not perfect. Okay, let's go back with the little red, because I kind of overdid it. The white, okay, like that. All right, there's a flower. Now, how about a couple of tulips as long as we're at it? How about right here? We say, I'll use some cad red medium. Let's just say that there's a couple of tulips right here. As long as we're putting flowers in, you know, they're sort of a cup shape. Okay, and then maybe they've got a dark purple center like this. See how I just did that dark purple in the center. Now that's still wet. So what I would have to do with this is, if I'm saying that that's the dark purple center, I have to dry these two flowers. I'm not going to pause it. I'm going to watch this. I'm just going to kind of tap over them. Now, using my little brush and sort of some light, you know, maybe some cad red medium, and just come up here like this on top and kind of make that purple less noticeable. Come up with some little brush strokes. Take a little white now and put on my brush and make these thin little white lines like this, almost like striations in the tulip. Now this takes a little bit of practice, but 1, 2, stop, get a little more white. Maybe a little V of white at the bottom here, and you're saying that this is some little tiny bit of white, right, coming up like that. Maybe you'll come back with a little red if you got too much. Alright, so you can see that we kind of created two little purple kind of you know, tulips here. Let's just put a little white here down. Just barely touch it on your brush. Okay, so these ought to be connected to something. So if I'm saying all that happened, then let's I'll take a little phthalo blue. Where's that? Phthalo blue, here. Okay, so let's take a little phthalo blue. I've got a little red in it, and let's make a few little, let's just say that there's a stem maybe coming down here like this. Remember, we carved some out, put a little white with it. Say that there's a little stem coming out of here like this, or a tulip, and you can kind of see the stems on these because they're carved out. Now, let's put a few little leaves like this. Just phthalo blue and white and whatever red you had on your brush will make them a little bit different. Okay, now I want to take some dark blue and yellow and make that dark green color, and I want to come behind here and sort of make sure that I've got some dark green in here so that my leaves show. So if I don't, I can just sit there it goes. So I've just put a little dark green in there. You can see I've got some dark, and remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So if you want something to show up, put a little dark green leaf next to it, and it'll show up. If it's a light color, if it's a dark color, put a light color next to it. So that's kind of our trick here. Alright, so now we've got those flowers. Those look very nice. I like those. I'm all happy with those. And, you know, tulips have these sort of, let's put a little, make a little bit of a green. Tulips really do have sort of longer leaves here. Maybe we'll do a few little long stems here. Like that. Let's put a little yellow with it. I feel like the tulips ought to have some longer, their leaves really are definitely different than anybody else's. They are kind of like this, so I am going to put some of those in, just even if it's just yellow, and then I'll put some ultramarine blue over them and kind of straighten them out. Alright, so I've got, I wanted to say at least that was those kind of leaves. Let's see if I can, maybe I want it more of a phthalo blue color. Alright, when that dries I may change the color of those, but I want that shape, okay? You can see why for those leaves. Alright, so that being said, this little brush gets rinsed. We're still going here, still going with our flowers. Now, in this area here and up in here, I want some beautiful bright yellow-orange flowers. So I'm going to come up in here with some white, and I'm going to tap on this little area here. Is all going to be white again. And you're going, why did you do that, Ginger? You just painted that over. I'm going to say there's this little cluster of white flowers. They're not going to be white, but I want them white first, because yellow paints the best. If you want something really bright, put the white back. Now, a lot of oil painters and people would have just left this spot out. Well, we're acrylic painters, so we can just cheat, okay? So these are going to be kind of bright orange pansies, and you don't see a lot of them. But when you do see them, that you know, some of them will be there. This is our sort of shape in here like this. Now, I'm going to take some white and start making some other pansies. Some bigger ones now. Like that. Just pull in here with the white first. And that is absolutely the secret to this. Maybe this one's looking this way. So it's almost like a windmill. If he's looking on his side like this, it's almost like a pinwheel, okay? Okay, that one's looking this way. And this one's kind of looking this way. Again, I think a four-leaf clover is a good example of this. Or you want to see some leaves, they don't have to be perfect. Get some sort of leaf shape here, because when you do the little dots in the middle, that's going to say pansies. And these are all touching each other. Does that make sense? And so I'm just using the white I have on my plate. Some of it's got a little pink in it, and I'm not worried about it. Alright, so I'm going to come in here and say, here's another flower coming around like this. Then down in here, I'm on another big one. Over here. Vary the size and shapes of these, please. Even I've got a row going here, and I don't like that, so I want to make sure I've got a flower right here. So I want to make sure I don't have a row. These are all going to be yellow ones, and I don't want to confuse you, so we're gonna do these first. And I know it looks pink because my white was a little dirty, but it isn't going to hurt it, okay? Because what I have to do now is make this big one here, okay? And that's going to be these flowers right here. That's going to be really pretty, huh? So, all right, so I've done that, and I want to make sure that you see that this one is that sort of this shape. That's an important one right here. This one right here, kind of this pinwheel shape, and I think this one could be bigger. So we'll do that. Now here's the trick. Just take a minute, pause the video, and dry it. This is real important. Before I do that, I want to put some little leaves up here again. I want some of these little blue leaves. As long as I'm in here, I want some blue leaves coming across. Blue white leaves. There we go, light enough. Okay, so alright, now I'm going to dry this, and we're going to keep going, okay? You know, this has been the funnest time. You know, when you saw this video, besides the title, you saw the word #LoveSummerArt. I know you saw it. We talked about it. #LoveSummerArt. This is what you saw, just like this. This is July 17th. This is when I'm releasing this video. #LoveSummerArt. And Cinnamon Cooney, my daughter, she's the art Sherpa on Heart Party. She's the one that came up with this idea. She said, what if we got all the YouTube creators together that did art, any kind of art, crocheting, clay, scrapbooking, watercolor, oil, if it's something to do with art. She says, if everybody on the same day released a themed painting that had to do with art, it would be a wonderful experience. It would almost be like creating an art festival for our viewers. And so, besides this one, if you've seen what Clive, did, Clive Art, he's fabulous. He's that wonderful Welsh artist, and he did a beautiful sunset. I want you, if you just put in the search engine, you guys, hashtag #LoveSummerArt, there's probably going to be 60 things, or maybe 100 by now, that you'll be able to watch, because I'm filming this obviously a little before the 17th, that have to do with art. I want you to just delight in all the YouTube artists that have created something for you. Cinnamon, did a beautiful beach scene over there at the Art Sherpa. She did that, and I'll have a little eye tag up there. You can look and see where that's going to be. But I want you to know that we thought about you as collectors, and every month, look for our theme. Every month, we're going to drop, this group of us is going to drop a group of paintings that all have the same theme, but they're all going to be different, and it's for our viewers. And I hope that everybody really enjoys this, because it's going to be fun. And I want you to know that's what we're doing here. Secret Soda has got some great stuff. Just check out what people are doing. All right, so I'm going to take a little yellow now, Cad Yellow Medium, and a little, let's see, just a little bit of, what color is this? This was the, that was the Australian Sienna, but you could use phthalo green if you had it. And I want some light green around some of this. Let's put a little more yellow with it on the edges of some of these. Does that make sense? I want a little bit of light green on the edges of some of these, and then I'm going to dry it. I'm just kind of almost even in between here. There's this light green kind of around these flowers, this very bright green, and the reason I'm doing that is so that you will be able to see the flowers. Okay, so see this little bright green, see how that's sort of bringing those out? Didn't do it around these, but definitely around these. And just give me a second, and I'm going to dry this, and I'll show you what it does. Just try it real quick. Sometimes it's just a few seconds to dry something. Just a few seconds. We don't need hours to dry something. Just a few seconds, and we're in good shape. We're good to go, okay? Now, let's take another brush. In case you're wondering what brushes I'm using, this is a Bestie liner brush by Creative Mark. It's a number 4. One of my favorite. You can buy these at Jerry's. They really hold a point well. And because I'm on something so small, now I want some yellow. So I'm going to just take a little Cad Yellow Medium in water, and I'm going to just stain over these flowers, these little yellow pansies. Just a little bit of Cad Yellow Medium. Just paint right over these white. I don't even have to do, don't know if I even want to do water. I'm just going to just say that here's some Cad Yellow Medium over the white part. Some of the white can show like that. Okay, here's my light color. That is the secret. If you want yellow to show up, let me show you. It doesn't show up very well at all against something dark green, but it will show up over white. It'll be very bright. Same thing with red. If you want your one red flower to show up, paint it white first. Okay, now we're going to take a little bit of the Australian Sienna, and we're going to just kind of paint. These pansies are going to take a little more painting than some of the others. Maybe this kind of almost like a 4-leaf clover shape of the Australian Sienna in the center of this one. The same here. I'm going to just say that. Oh, I think I forgot to do that one. Yellow. Oh, let me get the yellow on that first. A little bit of yellow on here. A little bit of yellow on this one. I forgot this little flower. Okay, and again, you can reshape it even after you painted the white. I'm not saying you can't, but wherever you painted the white, that part of the flower will look larger. Just that's all I can tell you, is that part of the flower will absolutely look larger. And I want to make sure that I've got this painted back here like this. I kind of lost the shape of this flower. I'm going to put it back when I did the green. There you go. Okay, so that flower's there. So I've got that one. And let's see, maybe a little bit of this dark Australian Sienna in this part here. Now these flowers are a little closer up, so we're getting more detail on them. And let's see, let's just put a little Australian sienna in the center here. Some of these. Same thing here. That's going to say that there's a main leaf here. Now what you can do is you can take a little bit of color on your brush and you can just make a definite shape of a leaf. You can come back around here, a little dark green in places, and you can outline a leaf so that it has what we call in the business a hard edge. Okay, so see that? So I made that leaf where it had a hard edge. And I may just come under here like this between these two flowers and say this has a hard edge. I'm just using dark green now. I like to do that, you know, maybe I'm going to take a little bite out of this flower right here and say there's a hard edge. Remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. So if you do this in a few places, you don't have to do it to all the petals, but for instance, this little leaf, this little flower right here, remember I said I wanted to make sure we had the right shape on that. So I've gone back and I've just sort of, maybe I'll just shape the leaf on that. Now that was one where I didn't, if you'll recall, I didn't put the white. So now I'm just doing kind of a light green leaf here on this, see, like that. And that one's got kind of a light green leaf. And then maybe down here, this one's got a light green leaf. Light green will show up like a champ. So even if you lost something in the translation when you were doing it, you can come back and put a dark green or a light green leaf. There you go. Put a little bite out of that flower. Make sure that you feel like you've got a good flower going there. All right. So, all right, there's some flowers. That works for me. Now, I'm going to rinse the brush. Wipe it off on a rag. Go into the Dioxazine Purple. If you're worried about this, dry it first. Now, here's the trick. It's almost like a bow. Does that make sense? So I'm going to come up here like two little eyes in the pansy, like this. Two little eyes, like this. Okay, almost at a slant, going up. Just kind of like they're like two little purple eyes, and then like a little bow coming down here. And you may need to mist your paint a little bit, Dioxazine Purple, so that you get a nice line here. So 1, 2, and then there's that. See how I did that? Okay, so let's do it again. This one is on the side. It's almost like the letter V with a little bit in between here. Right, like that. There's our purple. And then this one, again, you may only see just the little things coming down. You might not see all of the little eyes. Maybe it's folded down here like this. So we're going to say that there's one. And all I've got on this one, I'm going to just do the two little eyes. I like those little eyes things when you do that. I think it's sort of pretty. It says pansy to me. And on this big one in front, let's just give it some big eyes like this. Like that. There you go. See? Let's say that there's a pansy. And how about here? Let's just maybe like a couple little V's here. Going back on the side. Maybe just like this. They could be facing the other way, you know. And then maybe all we're going to see on this one is just something like this. The same thing, couple little dark dots. But now what we have said is pansies very clearly. We said pansies there. And we're just going to leave those alone and move on to the next group of pansies. Now that's these pansies. And the only thing I might want to do is take a little white and yellow and suggest that there's another do I want any more pansies in here? Maybe I want another group of pansies. Maybe I got too much of a space in here. So I might say there's another pansy here. And just put a little purple here like that. Just suggest a pansy without even painting too much more of it in. Alright, that's another little trick you can do, is just do some sort of little leaf. Alright, back to white. You guys ready with me? Now, this is a whole... let's not do white. Let's finish these. I don't want to confuse you. We're going to finish these. So, up in here, we're going to say, change brushes, and we're going to say that these are going to be kind of orange pansies. So, kind of, let's take the right end of the brush. Just take some yellow up here on the side, and a little cad red medium. Remember, yellow and red make orange, okay? Alright, now I'm going to say that these are some orange pansies right in here. And I'm just making them with this brush. Even though it's all one blob, I'm making the pansies, the shape of them. Okay? I'm still making them like this. And if I have to, I'll come back and erase some of the white. But I'm going to say that there's my pansies in here like this. I'm going to say that these are going to be some orange ones. Don't get a lot of paint on your brush here. Just get enough to cover this. Alright, and we're going to come up here like this. Say that these, when we come up on the edge here, I want some definite petals. Same here. In the center here, now this is how interesting. How are we going to make these? Well, for one thing, we don't want just a yellow blob, so let's bring some down on the side, like they're curving around. Just a little. Okay, so what we've gone on to do is I put some white flowers here and add a little ultramarine blue and a little yellow, similar to how I did these, alright? And then I decided I needed some more of these flowers over here, but not as intensely, so I started to put a few over there, and we'll finish and work on those. And I started here, I had a little orange here, and I've added a little yellow. And then I came over here, and I just want you to see this. These flowers are similar to this, but a little darker, not so intense. And I've added a tiny little bit of light orange with them. So this is where we've left off. I went ahead and got a whole new fresh plate of colors because mine were getting old, so I thought it was time to put out new paint. I'll just give everything a mist. You may not know this, but after a while, after a few hours, your paints don't behave as well as they did when you first started playing. So remember, keeping this old adage, wherever there's a light, there's a dark. I want to come into some white paint now with a small brush. When I start adding some pure white to this, this has had a chance to dry. And I want to make sure that I have some white, some real good white on there. My other white was getting a bit dirty, and it was okay to find those for just laying in some background flowers. But now I want there's to be some real white in some of these pansies here. Alright, so I've gone ahead and added, you can see what a difference that made, was putting those colors in. I think I want another one down in here, even if I go ahead and do that. Now let's see, where else do I want some white? Maybe, let's see, not so much up in here, maybe a drop or two of white up on some of these, but really we're talking about not that much. This is the main white flowers are right down in here, and they're really not totally white either. Maybe there's some blue and a little white on the other side of them, like that, something like that. So I want these pansies to show up a little more. I'm going to add another flower here. Now that's kind of how, then I'll take a little, say, ultramarine blue while this is still wet and add a touch of that to some of these. Okay, I'm not even trying to actually put in this. Your mind says these are flowers, so it's going to say those are flowers too. Sort of an interesting trick how that works. Let's take a little Dioxazine Purple and sort of separate off some of these. That's another little trick too. So you can take a little purple, and by making some sort of little, occasionally doing a little petal, you can convince your viewer that you've got more flowers than you do. Something like that. And let's see. Sometimes there's like a rose purple pansy. A new color I put out is some just regular red. And I'm going to take a little blue, ultramarine blue, and add to it and a tiny bit of white. And I've got this sort of kind of reddish purple color. And I think I'm going to come over here and say I want one of these pansies to be maybe some reddish purple. I'll make that a reddish one right here, like that. Okay. And then I'll take a little bit of purple and red. That's just your pure red now, a little purple and red. Mostly red with a little drop of purple because I want this a little bit brighter. And then let's take some yellow. While it's still wet, I'm going to drop it in the middle. If I tap it, I should be able to do that and get away with it. Okay, so there's that sort of little red-yellow pansy. Probably need to have another one too. I'm going to put another one right here. Let's just see. Let's just do maybe a couple of these. Maybe we'll do 3. Got some different ones. Here's a little dark purple right on top. kind of next to that yellow center. Then even though my brush is still dirty, if I just barely touch it, I can throw in a bright yellow center here like that. Okay. Now I'm going to just, now at this point I'll rinse my brush, but that's pretty. I like those. Put a couple of those in. Just sort of some pansy surprise. How's that? Now over here, these are similar to what I had before, so I'm going to take some yellow and white and just casual medium and white. And I want to make sure that I have a second coat of yellow on some of these so that they show up, and a little yellow oxide in a few places, just again sort of making the pansy petals. I want you to see it's not that complicated once you decide how you're putting the pattern. And then taking that red purple color, go ahead and put the eyes in of a couple of these. Here's, remember the little pansy eyes we talked about? Okay. And that reads pansy because I've done that. That just absolutely reads pansy. I said this one's running off the canvas. Now, if you're painting this on one of these wide canvases, my suggestion is you run these flowers all the way around the edge. Okay? Like, don't just stop here. Run everything all the way around the edge. I'll show you that maybe at the very end. I may take a moment and do that and run these all over. But I think that makes a big difference. And let's see, I'm going to go a little bit darker purple with some of these right here. We did the red purple. Now I'm just doing a little bit darker purple on a couple of them. There you go, like that. Now I still haven't put any of the dark purple in here. So I'm going to go ahead with the dark purple on these pansies. And they're a little more abstract, but I'm still putting in the eyes. Just Dioxazine Purple. I'm not even sure where some of them are. I'm just sort of making it up as I go. Maybe some are turned the other way. Just a drop of purple somewhere implies a pansy. See that? Without probably this one. Let's see where I want to go with. Right in here. I'm going to say that there's something happened with these. Okay, so there's some pansies there, and I might just take a little bit of ultramarine blue and white and come next to here, let's see, a little more white, and define this pansy right here, this one. Okay, that point might be worth rinsing my brush too. I can get away with a lot with that before I have to rinse it. Now let's go back to this red and purple and see about a few little, let's see, maybe we can add some yellow to that. Kind of almost a, let's take some cad yellow medium, some yellow. Yeah, there you go. I want a nice bright orange color, kind of with a little red in it. Just kept messing with that. There, that's pretty. Now, do I need any of this bright color in the center of some of these? Maybe just a dot of that orange color. About over here in these. Yeah, even in here too, I could put a little bit of orange. How about this one? Maybe I just want some orange next to this so it shows up. Remember, wherever there's a dark, there's a light, so sometimes you just need a bit of color next to something for it to show up. See, these pansies show up much better now because I had a little bit of orange, and then I'll take a little bit of purple that's next to this. Something like that. And maybe a little bit of white. And sometimes I'm just scooping up white on the brush and haven't rinsed anything and just dropping a bit of white somewhere. If I were making this bigger, I would do this with impasto medium or a heavy gloss gel, like a golden gloss gel, and I would add that to my paint if I were doing this on a larger canvas, so that I'd really get some texture. This is a little tough to maneuver here with all of that. I don't want to even just mess with it, but here we go. All right, so there's our dark purple pansies and our blue pansies. Now let's see, where else do we want to put something? Okay, so I still think this corner down here is a little bit dark, so let me just show you. I'm going to take some regular Napthol Crimson and come over here like this and tap on. I'm going to see if I like that. I'm going to tap on a little bit of red. This was almost a brown red over here at first. And I think that that's sort of nice. I'm going to say that there's a little bit, I just want a little bit redder. Like that. And I think I had too much water on the brush. Okay. Just in a few places. And then if I'm in the Napthol Crimson, I want to come up here on these flowers. Do I need to add any up here? A little bit of red on some of these. So you come back in your picture and you say, because remember, acrylics dry darker. Here's some Cad Red medium. Let's try just a couple drops of that here. 1, 2, 3, stop. 1, 2, 3, stop. I don't have to say there's much to these flowers. I'm just implying that there's something growing over here. All right? Just something growing over here. And as I bring this up, I feel like having more pansies. I'm looking at the picture now, and I need to either do some more pansies or a little bit of water there, or maybe I want some, I don't want to put any, purple. Well, let's do that. Let's do some purple and blue pansies. Let's just do that. Let's just say that there's some purple and blue pansies over here. We could put in a few, and I'm just doing the purple and blue shape, just Dioxazine Purple and that, kind of next to these. Then I'm going to go up here with some white right on top of that, just pure titanium white, and I'm going to mix these colors on top. Now you see I'm just taking the white on the brush and sort of wiggling it around. You see that? Alright, I'm going to say that there's some other pansies growing right there. Now isn't that funny how I didn't have to do much? You see that? Really didn't have to do much at all. And then I might take, that's what everybody loves about these flowers, that they can be so colorful. There's so many different varieties. You could do such a combination. I'll just do a few little drops of yellow. And if I glob the paint on pure yellow, if I just barely touch it, it will stay without me disturbing the wet paint underneath. You see, I just dropped it on there like that. It doesn't, I'm just letting it almost fall off the brush in a little glob. Years ago, we used to go for every, here's some yellow, let's do some of that up here too. On my mother, for Mother's Day, my mother loved this place called, still there, it's called Snoqualmie Falls, Washington State, on the other, out in the mountains near Seattle. And there's this lodge there, gorgeous, beautiful gift shop. And you can eat, and the restaurant's right over the falls. It's been there since the 20s, I think, or at least Roosevelt's time. It's been there for a long time. And we used to go have breakfast on Mother's Day there, and there was this lady, and she would take this giant spoonful of honey, and she would hold it almost as high as her head, and she would drop it on the plate. No kidding. I mean, she'd do that. It was just so awesome. And when you're a kid, it takes very little to impress, right? Very little to impress when you're a kid. I think I want some blue pansies up in here too. I'm going to say that that's a blue one. Don't like that yellow one. I'm going to say there's a blue pansy up in here. A little blue and purple pansy. Some other little color pansy. Anyway, to this day as an adult, I don't think I could pull that off. It was just, I guess they teach them how to do it. But you have to appreciate how impressed I was with that. Just totally. I can't tell you how impressed I was. And if I were to go back today, I'd be the same little kid again. Say, ooh, that is so cool. Okay, so let's just put a few little pansy eyes and some things. A few little dark spots. Okay. I'm going to get a little bit of white and yellow going. Just drop some on here like this. If I'm not sure what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drop some paint on there and kind of move it around. There, I like that. Kind of broke that one up. Let's see, where am I looking at? Right. That was right. Whoops. There. Okay. So now we need to do something. I need to drop something on these purple ones. They're not doing it as much for me as I was hoping. So maybe I'll come around here with some. I don't like these purple ones. Let's take them out. Maybe you like yours. I didn't like mine. I'm going to take them out. I'm just going to put some yellow on top of here. Let's scoop it. Now I'm just kind of plopping white. There we go. Okay, better. I like that better. Then we will pull some purple pansy eyes here. Ah, better. Okay, so I like that. It gives us a nice grouping. Now what about the final thing here? Let me just fix my paper here. It keeps scooting up. I keep wanting to scoot up my picture. And what about that? Let me just see if I can roll on some white right there. Okay, I just did. All right, very nice. So you see that I just kind of put it on the brush and then rolled the brush and dropped it. Sometimes it gets, when you want to do a little more abstract stuff. Let's get some light flowers growing in here. And how are we going to do that? Well, leaves anyway. Let's take a palette knife. And of course, yellow and blue make green, and I want more of an olive green, so that has to be ultramarine blue, remember, because that's the color of the Marine Corps. And you think of army green and tanks. All right, so that's a pretty good army green. Let me put a little white with it. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, now, do you notice that I don't mix the colors very much? See all these colors in here? That is so much more interesting than if I had just take a little palette knife and put some of these on here now. So much more interesting than if I had just mixed all one color. I see people over mixing colors all the time. You just see they're just going to tap up some of this green back over here. Could have used my brush. I just want to see what happens if I use a palette knife in a couple places. That's sort of nice because that sort of what that does is besides letting me use some paint, it gives a little texture down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little dark blue over it. Here I've scooped up some just ultramarine blue and yellow, but it's mostly blue now. I'm going to say that there's some dark colors down here like this. And again, like I say, you could have done this whole thing in a palette knife, but I didn't want to do too much in this corner. So I'm sort of finishing off the picture like that. You can see how I've implied that there's something growing. Now what about up in here? What could we do? Well, if we took a little phthalo blue, which I think I put, no, I didn't put any out, and I'll show you. If we took a little phthalo blue, which we have some somewhere. All right, phthalo is your turquoise blue. Remember that? Turquoise loves orange. Why does turquoise love orange? Turquoise loves orange because turquoise is across the color wheel from orange. Anything that's across the color wheel from anything else, they're like a marriage mate. Purple is married to yellow, green is married to red, turquoise is married to orange, and so forth, okay? Just remember that. So when they're together, they make a couple, okay? So I'm going to rinse my palette knife off. And I think I have to put out a little more white because I've used it all and mix it up. I'm going to do a little, want some what we call color surprise. That's where we haven't muted any of the colors. I want this a little bit brighter. So I'm going to just going to start with about white. It's going to be probably about 95% white. A little bit of phthalo blue. Like that. Okay. Now again, let's not mix it too well. Let's just scoop a bit up like that. Now, maybe I'll add just a drop or two of this, just using the palette knife in a few places. Don't have to do much. Just going to come up above here and say, I know we had some flowers up here. And again, a lot of this painting could have been done with a palette knife. It's just it's tough when it's this small a canvas. You see I've gone up here just using these colors and come up, maybe in a couple places and just added a touch of these bright colors. Now where else do I want it? There's some orange over here, so I'm going to just drop a bit of the turquoise. Just touch it on there like that, next to that orange. How about up here? How about a little bit up here, just a touch. Just to, it's got to be kind of smaller. It's not effective, okay? It's this light turquoise blue color. Just tap it in there. When I do it like this, it's a little thicker, so it's going to stay. It's closer to the color, alright? And I feel like something has to happen in here. I don't like these flowers right in here, okay? So I don't think I want any more turquoise blue. I think I need to do something about those flowers. So what else could we do? Well, how about we take a new plate and brighten up something. I'm going to take some yellow, and maybe I'll put a little more yellow out. I need a little yellow, just cad yellow medium. And maybe white, and let's just see if we can't pop up some colors in a few places. You know, this is called turning on and off the lights. I mean, I like this. This is pretty. This is nice, but I like this. But let's turn off up the lights a little bit. So I'm just going to do, again, 99% white with a little yellow in it. I'm going to make it kind of thick, and I'm going to take this palette knife like this, put a little on the tip, and I want to come up here like this and just touch some yellow flowers. Don't have to have a ton. I've already got some colors underneath. You could have used your brush too if you're unsure. So you just touch some flowers up there like that. Try. Now look, this is square. Do you see the square? Do not make squares. Come over here and just pull something like that so you don't end up with a square, alright? Try not to do, you know, so there. See, I've sort of fixed that. Where else could I put these colors? Could I drop any on any of these flowers? Just a drop here and there? Oh no, there's a little pile of it. That might be a little too much. But I just left it there, okay? Now, again, I haven't addressed this. I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to take some cad red medium, and I'm going to add it to this mixture here, like this, and barely touch it, barely mix it. And I'm going to put, gosh, I just need something to happen up here that's a little bit bigger. I'm just going to drop a few little of these orange flowers up here, maybe. Just a little bit nicer here, up here, a little bit brighter. Orange. Something crossing over into here. Just a drop, just tap it in there, like that. Alright, like that better, because remember, it's near the turquoise. Let's just bring that down into here. Okay. I like the orange there. Again, don't get too let me see if I can say this one. Try to avoid like squares, or you know, kind of watch where your patterns are going. So I've got to start all over again with color, because if you mix them all together, you just have a mess. So let's just start, because we're almost done with this, and this is just how we're doing color surprise. I'm going to go back to the little brush now. Little brush, and I want a dark purple and red. Cad red medium and rather Napthol crimson, a little bit of purple. I want to come under here and drop in a few little dark things next to my orange. Little dark. Remember, wherever there's a light, there's a dark, so I'm going to just do a little dark color right in here like that. Okay? So those show up a little more. And, okay, maybe like that. Alright, I mean, I think that's pretty nice. I mean, I'm not unhappy with how this is looking now. Do we need any orange up in here? What about, what could we do right up in this little spot right here? Could we add a few dark blue flowers? Maybe we have some ultramarine blue, or maybe just some ultramarine blue, maybe in a tiny bit of red, make a little dark blue flower. Do we need any darker blue up in here? A little contrast? You know, maybe a few little dots of that up in here. That might be interesting. Just a few dots now. Remember, I'm turning on and off the lights. So I like that, sort of like a little dark path. And what about over here, maybe a couple places down here next to this one. It's still looking. All right, that's okay. We're all right down in here, so we're probably down at the bottom. We're okay. What about in here? There we go. Maybe something right there. Again, you're not going to get the exact brush strokes like mine, but what I want you to do is try to get the sense of how this might work, why I'm doing it this way. You know, at some point you can kind of overdo it. So let's stop a minute and say I kind of like how that's looking. I think the last thing I'm going to do is rinse this little brush, take a little of that light orange color, and come up here and just do a few little drops. Tiny now. Vary the size of flowers. This is very important. Look how small these are compared to the palette knife thing I was doing. A few little drops of orange up here. Just something growing in those flowers to sort of break those up. And I like that too. Maybe a little bit of, you know, something here on the side. I put a little gold, put a little yellow with that now. And I'm saying that there's some darker flowers all growing up in here a little. It's almost a, I put that orange with cad yellow medium, but you also probably could have used yellow ochre or oxide too. Just a little bit of those yellow flowers there. And then I want to bring something all the way off here like this, the canvas right there. I want to bring a flower all the way off there. Put a little of the green with it. And then a little bit of the orange with it. Put a little bit of that orange. Ooh, a little bit of that orange in here. That's pretty. And then a little bit of the purple. Remember how we're just going around doing that? Little tiny bit of the purple now. I don't have any left purple. I hate to put purple out for one flower. You know, if you have to do that, here's what you do. I have to put purple. I don't want to put it out for one flower. Just go into your tube like this and get a little tiny bit. You're just talking about a few little drops or something for one flower. Sort of drop that one off the edge. And there's, I'd say, there's our picture. And again, I would say bring the flowers over the edge. Like, just keep painting the flowers over the edge. I don't think you need me to show you how to do that, but let me do one edge for you. Shall I do one edge for you real quick? Because with the edge, you can do it with a lot less care. All right, let's just say for, well, we know, let's just say for all practical purposes that I want to bring these flowers over the edge. So I'm just going to come in here like this. Make sure I have enough white paint on my brush too for some of these. And again, it doesn't have to be in any particular pattern. You don't have to be careful anymore how you're painting them. We're just saying that we brought some flowers over the edge, because when you hang a picture like this on the wall, it's so nice and thick. If you will do that, it will be very impressive to everybody looking at it. Okay, so here's some green. Maybe we're going to put some green in. And you know, as you're using your colors up, this is a good way to do that. Here's some green like that, and then I need some darker green and blues right up in here like this. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly like what you had on the front, but notice how fast I'm just throwing in some color here. Little green, a little bit of ultramarine blue up here over the turquoise. Now you can kind of see, right? And then as I come back down here, maybe, and again I'm using my leftover paint, might just put a few dots here like that. Just imply there's some sort of flowers. Now you can kind of see as I turn it on its edge like this. Let me just see if I can show it to you this way. As I turn it on its edge like this, it will look like we have carried flowers over from one side to another. Do you see that? So when you turn it on its edge. So when it's hanging on the wall, again, you don't have to paint it. Don't make yourself crazy painting these perfectly. But as you're hanging on the wall, so like, I'm gonna, let's see, maybe I can tilt this up on something so you can see me paint it. All right, I'm gonna tilt this edge up. Now you can sort of see me. Can you see how I'm gonna paint the edge? Good. This is a good exercise. We'll just finish this video off like this. I think I'm okay doing it this way. Yeah, we'll just take a couple minutes and do this. All right, so I've got some dark red and purple now. So I'm going to come in here like this. Remember, we got some of these flowers down here. And this is just some Napthol crimson, which is your red, some dark flowers down in here. And I'm going to say that there's something dark down over this way. And I'm not making squares now. I'm kind of angling these off places. Okay, so you can see that it's kind of like that, right? Maybe I'll bring something over the edge in a couple places. Then what? Well, right up into the, maybe a bright color, like this. I'll just tap on some sort of like orange color. See, just right over the top of this, like that, just tapping it on. Like that, and you see right over the top. So if I'm doing that, I might bring it over here in a couple places. Alright, but I've tapped those, okay, with me so far. And again, I don't have to fill out every last little thing. I'm just doing something. Okay, so then what about these pansies over here? Well, there was a bunch of greenery, remember, like this, over on this side. As I'm tapping, I'm just using the leftover paint here. And I'm just going to tap in some greenery. And then I wanted some dark blue green color. So here, let's just put some of that color in there, like this. All down like that. And then maybe over here, just kind of avoiding where I've been. Okay? And so already you can see where I haven't done much detail, but I've continued the picture over. Now, what you do then is you take a small brush, something kind of little, which we had one a minute ago. Okay? Take this little brush, and then maybe get, let's see, where's our purple? I think we had some purple out somewhere. Clever. So ultramarine blue, where'd the purple go? It's not hiding under here. Well, you guys saw me because I just had it. So I know I'm not making this up. I had some purple a second ago. Okay, I see it. Alright, now I'm just going to take the purple and just using my little brush like this, I'll go right into the paint and I'll just put a few little eyes on some pansies. I don't have to, you see, just a few little dots here, right into the purple. See? Alright, so now I've said those are pansies without saying anything. I didn't say a thing. Just said that's some pansies there because I did those little eye things. That was burnt umber. That wasn't purple. Where did the purple go? Well, that's alright. I did it in burnt umber. It still kind of works. Purple would have been better, but I don't know. It didn't fall on the floor. This is now I feel like I have to pause the video. Oh, here it is. I moved it. Alright, so let me show you here now. I'm going to take some purple. Just in a couple of them. There we go. Now these ones, if you'll recall, were ultramarine blue and purple and stuff in here like that. But right on the edge, it was just leaves. See that right on the edge here? It was just leaves. Now look how pretty, and you just imagine if you'd gone around your whole canvas like that, and if you had to, and I don't do it when you first do it, and I'll tell you why. Use up your extra paint. You're going to be exhausted. If you do this when you first start, here's a little white paint to put a little more out because I'm running out of paint. Here's a little white here. I'm going to just do a few little white things around the edge of some of these pansies now. Okay. And that's probably all I would do for this side. Just all I would do for this. Few little somethings around here. Maybe I had a little yellow oxide left. I might put a few little drops of that. Again, we're not talking about anything too fancy, but when you put the picture, see if I can show you, when you hang that on the wall, it's going to look just cool. So just imagine I went around the whole thing and did that. And about the bottom, should you do the bottom? Well, you could. I don't know how high up you'd hang it, but for sure I would do both sides. The top I don't think you'd see, but go ahead and do it. Just put some sort of little pattern on it. Go all the way around. That's what the gallery wrap is for. That's why you spent the extra money. So you didn't have to frame this. That was the whole idea behind the gallery wrap in the first place. So you didn't actually have to frame anything. Alright, let's put a little of that purple up in here. Well, see, part of me wants to just keep going with these colors because it becomes a beautiful picture then. Don't you love this? Almost like a little quilt tile. Some of you, if you were doing a bigger one, could you put in a little ladybug somewhere? Yeah, maybe as a little accent color. Could you do that? Yeah, maybe. But I want you to have fun with this and really enjoy the experience of painting. This hashtag summer art, this is an art festival. And I'm going to say it at the beginning of this and I'll say it at the end of the video. Clive Art has done a wonderful video. The Sherpa, that Heart Party, the Sherpa has done a wonderful summer art video. start a playlist and go through. We've got over, I think by the time you're watching this, I think we're up to 200 artists that have done some fantastic things. If you type in hashtag summer art just up in the search bar, just tap those in. So a little cad red medium brightening up a few little flowers. A couple little flower surprises here, you know, just a couple. I think if you type that in, you will be astounded at what your YouTube artists have created for summer for you guys. It's like a smorgasbord of art, from everything from crocheting to scrapbooking to oil paint to watercolor. If you want to just feel good about art this summer and projects to do, check us out. Please like and comment. That would be very lovely. And subscribe to my channel and subscribe to these other guys. They went to a lot of trouble to do this. I think you're going to absolutely love it. I hope you love this picture as much as I'm loving it. I'm going to put a little green up here a couple of places. I mean, I'm loving this picture. I hope you're loving it. This has really been fun to do. And thank you very much for watching. This is Ginger Cook saying I hope you have a wonderful summer. And remember, if you want more lessons like this and you want to do this all the time and you can't get enough of Ginger, go to my website, www.gingercooklive.gallery, and see about signing up for regular art lessons. Here's the Love Summer Art hashtag. That's what you're going to put in your search engine up above to see what YouTube. We've started this on July 17th, and I think through the 20th you're going to see a plethora of beautiful summer paintings and art projects for you to enjoy. Thanks very much for watching, and we appreciate YouTube for having us, and this is a great day. I'm going to leave this alone, let you just kind of look at it now. And if somebody again wanted to see what this was the heavy gloss medium gel, which you might use if you were doing a bigger painting. I didn't use it on this, but you could.